So from here on, we need to bring the source water line to this point. In reference to your source water line, we're going to need these components. It's called a saddle valve. It comes in this particular package, and you'll see some of these. You'll see these items in that saddle valve. And this is why they call it a saddle valve, is because it does have something that looks kind of like a saddle on this portion of it. Now this is basically the way it works. What you do is you have one side of it set up like this. You have one corner up. You have a pipe that you're going to be connecting to, which can be something such as this. You get your clamp. You put that over your copper pipe. Now, preferably when you tap this in, that you tap it into your cold water, and the water is soft or treated, if possible. And that's really where you're going to make the maintenance for your water distiller. You're going to reduce that immensely. So you need to have a water softener, and if you don't have one, you'll probably have to change your pre-treatment. The one that we send, the pre-filter is pre-treatment, but it's also a descaler to help reduce the amount of scale that's building up in your distiller. So let's go back to the clamp. This is the clamp that we have that we're going to have. We're going to basically put both of these sides in. Now you can see, you can actually, once you've got it there, you can actually tighten a lot of these up by hand to a point. Now you're going to tighten these up to a point where you start feeling resistance . When you tighten up these screws. I generally do it by hand. If it's on a wall, a lot of times I'll have it this particular method, this particular way. We'll tighten it, and when you tighten it, this is what you want to do is you want to make sure that the stress is the same on both sides. So if you have one clamped in this direction and one high, then you might want to balance that out, so that both of them are basically, both sides are equidistant from it, so that the pressure is the same on both sides, and your seal will be better. Now there's a point where you might want to use a screwdriver. Now really, something I should have mentioned before at the very start. When you start clamping this down, something that's very important that I may have bypassed, this is the stem that you're going to be pushing in and that's going to be piercing your pipe. Make sure that you've turned that counterclockwise all the way so that your stem isn't piercing this pipe, and that's very important. So make sure that this wing is turned counterclockwise, so that the needle will not be touching this particular pipe. And that's what we have at this particular point. So you make sure that it's secure and nice and tight, like this. You make sure that that when you turn this, that you've actually turned it where it's disengaged, and you've turned it left counterclockwise as far as you can. Now, as we're going through this, again, just to be safe, you might want to just turn off your water as well, your incoming water source to this, so that if you've left this at a point where it can pierce this, that you don't have water leaking out uncontrollably. So that's just something that you might want to do, and in fact I suggest that you do that as well. Turn off your source and then go through this particular process. We're going to want to connect our incoming source water here. Remember, you still have not pierced this pipe at this point in time. So what you're going to get from this point, you're going to have a 1/4 inch line, and that 1/4 inch line, you're going to stick this particular component, which is in your package, you're going to put it in this way. You're going to put it in to where these threads will meet these threads. And you're also going to put this component in. It's a ring. It's a plastic ring here. And you're going to want to make sure that the narrowest part of it, as you can see, there's a narrow part and there's a wider part. That the narrower part is going to be inserted into this component here. We're also going to get this flange and put it right in here. Now what that does, it's really important that you put that in there, because if you don't put this component in there and you start tightening this down to secure it, then your tubing can compress and you will have leaks. So make sure that you insert this. Now you're ready to go, continue to go forward. Your pipe is up here, your stem is here. You're going to insert this. You're going to bring this up here to it. And you're going to tighten this right up. Remembering that right now the water is off, the pipe is on. This portion here is going to go towards your distiller or towards this particular connection, which we've already shown you. And now that everything is secure and nice and tight, we can actually pierce the source pipe that we've tapped into. What we're going to do is pierce it by turning this forward. Now make sure again, and as you do that slowly, make sure everything is tight in here so you're not seeing any leaks. And you continue to push this and drive it all the way through. There'll be a point where you'll feel resistance, and it's piercing your pipe at that point in time, and you might feel a lot of resistance at one point. Give it another turn, a little hard turn, and you'll be through the pipe. Okay, go a little bit further. You'll see that it'll stop. And now you've actually pierced the pipe. So once you open this back up again, water is going to start coming out of it. So do not open it up at this point in time. Make sure, because this pipe is over at the wall, that you brought the other end. I'll set this over here. To this particular ball valve control. At this particular point in time again, once again, I'm making sure that I'm getting the proper distance. I'm taking a few moments to mark it, because you may have never done this before and you want to be secure that you've penetrated it far enough. So we're going to once again mark it. It's about that far. We're going to mark it to make sure that we insert it or jab it in far enough. We have it like this, as such. And there you go. You can't see the line anymore. It's gone. We're going to pull this back out. And some people like to do something like this, but don't pull it out very much. You just barely have to move it back out so it's locked. Because you've pushed it in far enough, you see it won't come out. So now you're set. Here's your source line. You've tapped this in. This is in the in position. Now you're ready to start drawing water, and you can control it here. You can do it this way at this point in time. Now that you've connected it this way, you can turn it off. So you can do this in stages. Open this up. When you open it up, you're withdrawing the needle from the hole. The water will come through this particular conduit, come through the particular line and up to here. At this point, it's controlled. You can now see and check everything else in your distiller. Your distiller has been connected. And now let's see what happens next with everything going on. You turn this on. Water, when everything is connected, will be driven through your system. You'll hear this start floating. In a short moment or two, you'll hear the fan, and you'll start distilling water, or you'll start steaming it and purifying the reserve tank and the boiling chamber. Check for leaks to make sure everything on your distiller is looking fine and moving quickly. Also, at this particular point in time, as you can see here, we're going to be putting it through the sterilization process, and we can get to that in a moment. And I'm pointing this out to you at this point in time because there's no post filter in there. So the next thing we're going to do, now that we have the system engaged, ready to go, it's putting water through there. Your fan is working. We're now going to go and sterilize it, and you're ready for that. At all times checking to make sure you're not having any leaks at any particular spot.